Hey y'all, happy Thursday. So we're picking up again. I want to talk about the going to church. Um, yes, you go on Sunday mornings, but you talked about Dad's commitment. We went to church all the time.
Yeah.
If
we
the
used
doors,
to joke it was like because Mondays they had women's circle and men's prayer.
and then when we were teenagers, it was
and Tuesdays was orchestra. We both played in the orchestra practice, which I think they eventually moved to Thursday.
They did, but something else went in on Tuesday.
Right, and then Wednesdays was and Dad was a committed Royal Ranger teacher. His boys that he taught still talk about his chop card.
The chop card.
We didn't get those in missionettes, so
no, we didn't.
But Dad was a stickler now. You were not. He was not going to give that card to you unless you passed the test.
Yeah, and Mom says, Dad did not become a Royal Ranger commander because he wanted to
teach the boys. Yeah,
right.
No, he
but
had no desire to do that.
The truth of the matter is that they needed teachers, and Mom said, you have 2 girls, don't you think you need to go plant some seeds?
Yeah, raise up some godly girls for your godly daughters. Yeah,
go raise up some men. And so he said, well, I guess you're right. And he did for years. I don't even know how many years. His ranger uniform, his commander uniform, still sitting in the closet. And he there is a bug. Sorry. But he when he committed and when he said he was going to do it, and for a man who worked 60 hours a week from sun up to sundown on Wednesday nights because he had committed, he was at church prepared to minister and pour into those young men.
I wish I could remember, and maybe it's something we can do in the other weeks, but I feel like Pastor Tim has said it in one of his sermons, maybe on Father's Day, but the statistics of a family, if the wife takes the family to church and the husband stays at home, I get chills thinking about it, because it's just the way that God ordained the family, and that the father, the man, is the head of the home. If the mom takes their family, I think it's as low as 28% stay in church. As far as their children. But if the husband takes the family and the mom stays home, it's in like the 70s or 80% of your children staying in church, and the unchurched wife coming to church versus the unchurched husband coming to church with a family. It's so important that you go together. And with us talking about Father's Day and the father being the leader, and it was important to our dad to go to church. We saw that in him every Sunday. It's vital that we have godly men raising godly men to raise godly families.
That's right. Well, and so say you're a single mom, or you're a widow and you're with your children. Find a church body that has strong men that will pour into your children, because I promise you that the Lord's not going to let your children miss a piece if He's given the opportunity to fill that void. And so He will put godly men in your life and in the lives of your children to pour into them so that they don't miss, because He's a good God and He doesn't leave anything broken and missing. But we went to church all the time. If the doors were open, we were there. If they weren't open, we went so that we could open the doors. But we were always at church, and I'm so thankful for that. And I told Mom not too long ago, because of course I have 3 small children. Joseph is in Rangers now. We're trying to talk to David about Rangers. Actually, he would go to Rangers, but he's not quite old enough. And in all the things that they're involved in, I'm like, how in the world did y'all do it? I mean, it really is amazing looking back now, because they were small business owners. They had to put in a lot more hours. Of course, I work at home, so it's a little bit different. But I mean, Dad was gone all the time.
And Mom still fried pork chops. I mean, Lord, who does that now? You're lucky if you have time to drive through Zaxby's.
Right. But they did it. Yeah. And we were there, and we were involved. And things that I am so thankful for, because it didn't matter how many times I heard the stories of the Old Testament or the accounts. They were so poured into me and so ingrained into me that they weren't just stories, but these were accounts, true and actual circumstances that happened. And when you build that into a child at a young age, it's much more difficult when they're older for you to convince them that it's not true. Yeah. And so the importance of getting them to church, involving them in the activities. And I'm preaching to myself, looking at the cell phone going, the time. Well, I have to make choices of what's more important. Right. I I'm the parent. I'm the one who has to choose. It's more important for them to get this than it is for me to get them into bed, by 11:30. It feels like it's getting really, really late these days. But I'm thankful for every time that we were taken to church and for every activity that we were involved in. And so tomorrow we're actually going to dig into the scripture. And Natalie's like, we haven't even read the scripture yet. So I promise you we're going to get into the word.
I'll start.
She'll start. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, y'all.